Today's topic is 290 sex registration in California. If you or a loved one have recently been charged with a sex crime here in San Diego, stick around. I think you're gonna like this video. My name is Dod. I've been a criminal defense attorney here in San Diego County since 2004. My firm is Dod Law. Today what I want to talk to you about is sex registration under California law. Now, the way it used to work prior to 2021 is if you're required to register as a sex offender, that's it. It's mandatory sex registration for the rest of your life. And it was so unfair because I had cases where my clients were drunk, they're college kids, they're at a bar, and they're accused of either sexual assault or grabbing a woman's buttocks on the dance floor, and they would have to register as a sex offender for that. Also, you have a rapist and molester that has to register as a sex offender. So you're basically classifying the young college kid who grabbed someone's buttocks at the club the same as a rapist and a child molester who's going to spend the rest of their life basically behind bars. It's the same classification. So when you hear he's a sex offender, automatically, what do you think? You think he's a rapist or molester. Thank God that law changed. That law changed here in California in 2021. And what that law does is it makes the 290 sex registration requirement, it puts it in tiers. And this is very important, and this is why you need a very experienced sex crimes California attorney to handle your case if you're charged with a sex crime. Because there's tier 1, there's tier 2, and there's tier 3. And if you're charged with certain crimes, it is mandatory tier 3, mandatory life registration. That's why it's very important that you hire a very experienced sex crimes attorney. I've been handling these types of cases for 18 years. Now let's talk about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Now, under the new law in California, as it went into effect on January 1st of 2021, if you're convicted of a sex crimes charge that carries a tier 1 290 requirement, tier 1 only requires you to register for 10 years. There's also tier 2, which requires you to register for 20 years. Then you have the tier 3, which is the much more serious sex crimes, which require you to register for life. Now, let's break this down. If you're required to register for 10 years under the tier 1 290, it doesn't mean that after 10 years, the 290 sex registration is just going to automatically fall off. You must petition the court, and a court must decide whether or not to take you off of the tier 1 290 after 10 years. Now, where there's a lot of confusion is when you're sentenced and the judge tells you that you are required to register for your life as a 290 sex offender, and clients say, well, but you advised me that it's only going to be 10 years. No, an attorney has to let you know that it's a term of life. However, after 10 years, you can make a petition to not become a 290 sex offender anymore. The next one is a tier 2, which is 20 years. Same applies. It doesn't just fall off. You have to petition the court. And the next is tier 3, where you're going to do 290 sex registration for the rest of your life. Now, let's break this down a little bit further. Under California law, there are certain crimes that if you're charged with, it's mandatory. Tier 3, lifetime registration. That's why you need an aggressive attorney to vigorously negotiate your case to see if the prosecutor will agree to a charge that carries either tier 2 or tier 1 290 registration. For example, I recently had a case where my client was charged with several counts of rape, and they all carried mandatory tier 3 290 lifetime sex registration. What I was able to do was work out a deal where my client pled to a felony assault, not a sex crimes charge, and we attached a misdemeanor sex crimes offense which is only a tier 1 290. So what he will do is he'll register after that 10 years. If the court finds he's eligible, we can petition the court and take him off the sex registration requirement. But this is very important. You got to make sure that the attorney you hire understands the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. You got to make sure they understand that it is not mandatory that you register for a term of life if you're a tier 1 or tier 2, as long as you can petition after 10 or 20 years. And you must also do work ahead of the sentencing, meaning you need to get a psychological evaluation, and you need to have that psychological evaluation go with it in the court file. So when it comes time for you to petition the court in 10 years, you have a very favorable psychological evaluation in that court paperwork that shows that you're not a sexual deviant and that you're someone that can obviously be rehabilitated. And they're going to come up with the risk assessment score also in that psychological evaluation. I hope you like this video. Make sure if you're charged with a sex crime, you hire a very experienced criminal defense lawyer. Have a great day. Please subscribe to our channel. You can also hit that like button.